Good afternoon, ILHIMA members. I am Jenna Bishop-Beal, your ILHIMA president-elect. Last week, voting members received an email in regards to the ILHIMA board election that is open until February 2nd. We're meeting with some of our candidates, and this afternoon I am meeting with Liz White. Liz is running for the position of president-elect. So Liz, before we get started, why don't you tell our members a little bit about yourself and your professional background?
Sure. So, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. A little bit about myself. I live in Southern Illinois. Currently, I live in a big town called Dale, population 300. But I have lived in Southern Illinois my entire life. No further north than Salem, Illinois, and no further south than Marion, Illinois. So, my career in health information started just over 20 years ago at SSM Health in Centralia, Illinois, as a records analyst. It was a very entry-level position, and I've gone through various positions in those 20 years, from records analyst to worked in the emergency room a little bit while I pursued my RHIT degree, and then was blessed with a coding job. And I did coding for many years, but leadership just kept tweaking an interest to me. So, I pursued my bachelor's degree and eventually accepted a team lead position in health information operations. And really, that is where I've been ever since then. I had an opportunity at another facility to accept a health information director's position. And so I think I had about 4 years in that role until we were acquired by another healthcare organization. And so my position for the last few years has been back to health information operations leadership. So that is kind of where I've blossomed and grown, and really just kind of pursued more of a passion. I enjoyed coding, I won't lie, but I enjoy operations more.
So tell us a little bit about yourself in regards to your state, regional, and local level experience with AHIMA and ILHIMA.
Okay, so I have actually served on the ILHIMA board before. It was a few years ago in a director of advocacy position. That was a wonderful experience. It just kind of tweaked my interest in continuing to be involved, and just if you're going to work in health information, you need to understand the various aspects that fall into what that means. And being a director of advocacy definitely gave me that opportunity. And I was able to meet some amazing people on the board and get to work with them, develop those relationships. I've also been on the SILHIMA board for, I've been in the president rotation for the last 7 years. And so that has been a great experience. I've worked with some wonderful people in this end of the state, and I really pray that we get to continue that relationship and continue to represent the southern end of the big state of Illinois.
Yeah, it takes 8 hours to get through. So what is your long-term vision for ILHIMA?
I would say that my long-term vision for ILHIMA would just to be continue being the source of information for the individuals in our state that look to us for education. We all know about the proposed changes coming down from AHIMA to the states and the regional associations. And, I don't know what the future is going to look like for that, but ILHIMA will just need to continue to enforce our presence among our members and non-members within our state, and just be the sounding board for all the things that that health information has its feet dipped into, and it's a lot, when we think about health information, just about every step of that patient's care, whether it be outpatient, inpatient, you know, uh, surgical centers, you name it. Just about every step of that patient's care lands in health information in one way or another. And so, it's important that we continue to advocate for our patients and our employees and the roles that they play. And I think unfortunately, I think there's still a lot of education we can give to the community as far as what is health information. There's still some old school thoughts out there that, oh, health information, we just file paperwork, but we are far from that this day and age. And so I think we have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I do know that ILHIMA prides itself on the education that we provide through the state. I think as a leader in ILHIMA, you have to think of the state in the three separate regions, but then doing so, how do you combine everybody and their needs together? Those of us that are non-coders, I'm in risk
Yeah.
management, privacy and compliance, where do you fit in? And sometimes, like you were saying, with I don't know if we've done a very good job with that elevator speech, that 5-second elevator speech of what we do.
Yeah.
I think so maybe it's an education, component for next year could be like, health information 101. Where's your elevator speech? Like, what
Yeah.
do you do? If somebody says, well, what do you do for a living? Why is that important? Kind of
Mhm.
promoting ourselves. So
Yes. Yes.
good job. This president-elect position is unique in itself, where typically you have a 2-year term.
Hmm.
This is a 3-year term as a president-elect, president, and then past president. Each role builds upon itself. So, what can you tell us about how would you provide assistance to the ILHIMA president, which would be me, the executive team, and the remaining board positions? What sort of, because of your vast experience, what can you draw from your experiences with being on the board, being a regional board member, et cetera, to assist and move certain policy changes along?
I think it's one of the big things is it's just important to be present, be present, keep your ears open, and understand the needs of your region. Um, for example, Southern Illinois is very different than Northern Illinois. One of the differences that we have is, the central region and the northern region has those um, educational organizations for our health information degrees. The Southern Illinois region only has one. And so as far as, taking my experiences and feeding that up through the pike, if you could say it that way, um, it's just we need to make sure that we are the voice of our people. Um, we need to continue to be engaged with our regional associations and supporting them. I think we do a great job. I don't want it to come across as if I think that we don't. I just know that there's a lot of changes coming down the road, and I feel like it's very important that we still have an avenue to speak for our areas of the state. And so by making sure that our board represents individuals from across the state, I think that's important to still have that voice.
Yeah, we're a diverse group where we're not top heavy in one region,
Right.
so that's a plus for us in how we've attempted to revise the approach for the annual conference, where we
Yeah.
have one coming up in the Chicago spring and March, in Northern Illinois and Palatine, and then in the fall September going to, the southern region. And then I think next year is going to switch up southern region to maybe the central region. So kind of hitting all the regions as best as we could.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the spot. It's like, how do we still be the voice for all of our members, specifically in our own regions, and what their needs are?
Right.
Nice. So what do you think, as far as policy and advocacy, what policy changes or advocacy efforts do you think are crucial for ILHIMA at this point?
Oh, well, um, so having been an advocacy director in the past, it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of avenues that we as health information professionals have to continue to be a voice at the table. Um, we've developed, ILHIMA has developed a great section on their website, surrounding ILHIMA related advocacy updates. Right now there is I say you might know, but some people might not know that there's a House bill out there right now, 1137, which involves proposed requirements surrounding notifying individuals when their when their medical record has been altered. Um, it's been out there for, I think a little over a year now. There's not really been any change on that. So I think that's going to be a really important bill that we keep our eye on, because that will have, depending on the direction that bill goes, that will have deep impacts in process flows for any of our healthcare entities across the state.
Right. And why is it
So,
being altered without the patient's understanding or approval,
right,
too?
right.
How in
And
the
a lot
world
of
is that?
times, a lot of times it's very legitimate alterations. I understand the importance, definitely. We'll just have to kind of see how that bill plays out, and as members of this state, continue to understand the ramifications of it and be involved in providing feedback to our representatives. We're planning on bringing Illinois Hill Day back. I think that will be another great opportunity to stay involved. The ILHIMA advocacy directors have been working on a bill tracker page. I'm so excited for that. It is deep. But I think once all the kinks are worked out and we have that pushed out for individuals to utilize, I think a lot of times people think that they hear the word advocacy and they think that they have to have this grand gesture or some big commitment to be involved. And that's really not the case. You just have to be willing to take the time to learn about what is being put on the agenda and understand how that impacts the health information industry. I feel like my experience, since it's been a broad range, within a hospital related health information department, I feel like, I can have a little bit of maybe a more understanding than some. But I feel like we need to encourage people to be involved in those grassroots activities, and don't feel intimidated. Because let's face it, the people that are working at the state level, we're all people,
Yeah.
we're all humans, and we're all impacted by these changes, whether we work in it or whether we're a consumer of it. So yeah, that's my little advocacy spiel.
Yeah, I do think there's probably a misnomer of the amount of time that it takes to be part of the board.
Mhm.
I don't know how, misinformation kind of gets around saying, oh, it's a second, full-time job. And it's really,
Mhm.
it's what you put
No.
into it too. So one of the things that the president-elect role has a lot of different hats, but one of the things is to kind of push. Not, and I think the word agenda is wrong, but in this phrase of how to push the right kind of educational mix to the members and make sure that it's being continuously offered, the right educational offerings are being introduced at the right price, etc. So where do you, in your time during the day, where do you peruse the different sites to find education? And what do you think about, AI and HIM?
Well, I'll be honest, I have always gotten a lot of my education from ILHIMA,
Mhm.
from the Regional Association quarterly educational meetings, and the state level educational opportunities. And I won't lie, trying to remember that being an AHIMA member, we get so many free AHIMA CEUs. I have been guilty of, letting those pass from time
Yeah,
to
it's good.
time. But, you know, I feel like it's important to understand the educational opportunities that our healthcare entities are able to access already that aren't even related to our AHIMA association. A lot of our hospitals, they, move into contracts with external vendors who provide the education that they need, specifically speaking to, maybe coding. Um, but those of us who might not fall into uh, that coding uh, position, I feel like our first avenue that we should be looking to is our regional and state level associations. Personally, I don't go out on the website and look for, external education because let's face it, the internet is daunting and you never know the level of education that you're going to be receiving.
Mhm.
So I think it's just really important that we understand our members, understand their roles, and just always make sure that we're providing a broad range or, any kind of range above and beyond your standard health information roles, like, release of information, coding. Those are the two big heavy hitters that I can think of right now. But we just need to make sure that we understand that not everybody falls into that little piece of the pie.
Right.
Um,
Like cybersecurity and things like that,
yep,
those kind of
yep.
topics, and that maybe other states may have available through their region or state level. So good, really good. So I think one of the challenges that I see, and I've been on the board for about 3 years now, is succession planning. So,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts in ensuring a smooth, continuous continuity of succession planning as proceed from the president-elect to the president to past president? And how do you ensure that the wheels continue to turn?
Yeah. Well, I think the first step in that is making sure that you have well outlined expectations of the job duties for each of those roles. I feel like, the fact that it's a 3-year succession just helps improve that relationship building and supporting from one level to the next. Uh, Coming into a new position, it can be a little daunting, right? Let's just be honest here. Um, but knowing that you have those leaders above you, the president, the past president, who've already walked in your shoes, they've done the roles, a big part of their position is still mentoring that new guy that's coming into the position. And so, I feel like we should approach that with a level of honor that um, if we're not out here to support each other and grow with each other, then gosh, what are we doing? Um, it's those relationships that we build through those levels that just keeps the organization growing. It keeps people interested in the functions of the board because we need all those functions to continue. Um, and so I think, Ilhim has done in my experience being on the board before, there's a well put in succession planning already because we know what each of those roles is responsible for. And those roles are all actively engaged with each other at all times to discuss situations, discuss planning, facilitate that communication with each other. So, I think it's going to be very important to always make sure you're available. Part of the commitment to this position is being present. And, you know, it's easy sometimes in a virtual world to multitask, to, kind of be half in, half out. But, I think it's important in these roles that you have to be all in, during those time frames, during those discussions, because there's a lot at the table to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, it's a builder for leadership skills, but
Absolutely.
it shouldn't be a resume builder. Should be
Right.
want to enhance your skills as a leader, but not
Yep.
fluff up your resume just to say that you're
Right.
on the board. Because like you said, it is 100% all in, because there are certain decisions that we make that affect the entire state, whether it's the cost of education, whether it's location of the annual conferences, it's the education that's provided at the annual conferences, it's those experiences that we give to the members, that you
Yep.
have to take your time, listen to everybody's ideas and perspectives, and then come together with a cohesive
Yeah.
decision. So exactly right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going to leave it there. I mean, that was excellent. I think you really um, um, included what I am feeling and thinking every single day. So I do appreciate that. Well, Liz,
Thanks.
it's been wonderful talking to you. Best of luck in the election, and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.